Final subject matter topic. We're into Deadlock. This was kind of a surprise one for us, as it was for most people, because out of nowhere on Friday evening, Deadlock decided to lift their NDA. The game that wasn't happening, that Valve wasn't making, especially after the fights they had with Verge, saying, you're not allowed to do that, and Verge going, but I didn't pinky promise. Well, they didn't have to, apparently. They just could have waited another month. But, you know, we have the NDA lifted, and almost instantly on Friday we started seeing streamers realize they could play on stream and just immediately go there. I'm gonna bring this over into Shroud. Just a quick video while in the background when we talk about this. He's playing another game and literally finds out.
Oh my god, you are right. I've never
confirmation from the Discord.
Deadlock, but I never actually played it. All right, they actually lifted it. Let's play it. Welcome to Deadlock. This game's in early development with a lot of temporary art and experimental gameplay. All feedback.
That's that agreement that didn't happen allegedly, but you know,
it says now all feedback welcome.
Awesome. Only difference. And now Shroud's playing the game. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit and so we can see the gameplay in the background. This was the same case for a lot of streamers. I had seen Flats, an Overwatch streamer, just immediately. And like some of the conversation around it too is that a lot of streamers, especially MOBA streamers, have had access to this game for months now, maybe nearly 6 months. And like this was the first time they've been able to jump in and like play it on stream. But some players have been getting hundreds of hours on this game already.
What does Catalyst do?
So, Nick, we're seeing some play footage, live react. What are your thoughts here? What do you see? Because generally speaking, sorry, they're explaining a move real quick. Generally speaking, I'm seeing the lanes, I'm seeing the move. We have the mini map on the bottom right. We've got the characters in the top center. We've got the HP bar on the left of center of character. What are your thoughts? What are you seeing here? And let me know if you want to pause anywhere.
I mean, this is what I said. It's going to be smite shooter, right? Like, I think, like, you know, it looks good. Like, overall, I think it looks a little bit too much like Fortnite mixed with, like, Fallout. Mixed with, like, for playing, like, a MOBA. Is what it, like, looks like. I don't think it's, like, too unique in that aspect of, like, its visuals. But it looks relatively fun, but it probably just does highlight more of the hero shooters need so much more in their game to really like it. I don't know, like for me, hero shooters feel like the genre itself is a PvE genre that is like trying to force itself into a PvP genre.
Hey, Billy here. Wanted to take a quick minute to let you know a few different things. If you enjoyed the video so far, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps us out and it tells the algorithm to share it with more people. You can find the Esports Meta live every week on Twitch and YouTube. It's where we film the podcast or hang out, play games, and chat. If social media is more your vibe, check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, or Twitter if you use Threads. Does anybody use Threads? This is a video game community that's excited to talk about esports, so jump into the conversation. Of course, you can find more videos like this here on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe button right there or there. Thanks for watching, and let's get back to the show.
You know, that's to each his own.
So, yeah, I get what you're saying on that, and like it makes sense. This game already instantly, it feels so much smoother than Marvel Rivals does, and that might be the big contrast point I would make on here. Just like looking at it, it is a MOBA. It's gonna play a little bit different. It's more heavy MOBA with like loadouts and buying, etc. Which, by the way, we called it. And then, you know, just look at how he's moving, how he's aiming. It's so much smoother. And I don't think it's a skill thing. Shroud's one of the best aimers and FPSers. Maybe he's a little washed because he's, you know, goes streamer mode more so. But like either way, these guys, they've got so much smoother of an aim than you would see them have on Marvel Rivals. So I think this is a big thing that the game has going for itself. Otherwise, yeah, like you're kind of right in that the gimmick in a sense for a game like this, you kind of like need so much more in a shooter. Like the Call of Duties, don't really fly anymore. You need to have like a whole talent tree and loadouts that are like multi-layered. And that's kind of been touted as being one of the better parts of this game, is that there's a lot of complexity and depth in the character, in the loadout, as well as the strategy style, because it does pick up more of a Dota, League of Legends buying items, and like you can change the support character into a damage character, etc. Like there's a lot of different undiscovered variety here that a lot of people are shouting out, but it is still new and it's still in a beta version. But this already doesn't look like a beta, man.
Yeah, it already looks smooth, as you've already said, right? It looks great. The information on the screen isn't too much, right? Even like the map itself isn't like too crazy. Probably a little bit too like colorful, or maybe not colorful enough. Maybe that's where like the icons could be like changed a little bit, but it really does feel like right now it feels like everything is happening around this one center location. Like the map is small because he's not really like leaving his like lane.
Yeah.
But like, I have like a lot of questions. Like once it became like a lane thing, like, can you actually deny minions? Are like minions like the big thing, which he has like souls and stuff like that, right? So is it like tower defense while fighting against other people, like smite-ish like that?
I was watching a little bit of like a Flats video and bring it to a different point of view, and he was doing a better job explaining it. And maybe Shroud I think that's Shroud's actual first game.
Is to start winning my lane a little.
So it is, you can deny, but then these things pop up over their heads when you kill a minion, a creep, and then you could steal the other team's that. Like he just shot the floating thing over the minion's head, kind of thing. So I think there's like the depth and intricacy in that as well, and there's gonna be a lot of like little things in there. There he goes. He shot the top thing and took the gold from that. So like, it's going to be a little bit hard to see, of course, right now. And there's a lot to this game, but that time and time again has been repeated. I've heard like a handful of different streamers that I've checked out trying to find good content to like talk over and kind of showcase a little bit of our told you so's. You know, they were explaining a lot of the different things, and it does seem like pretty in-depth sort of stuff. And yeah, they are fighting over this midpoint right now for control of their lane. You do see a little bit of a jungle. The jungle is more inside buildings and etc. It's format differently, etc. But most of the fight seems to happen in these first sort of parts of the 4 different lanes.
Yeah, you know, it looks interesting. I mean, I like watching Smite. Like, I don't think Smite is like a bad visual game to really enjoy. So this one might be interesting to watch, but also like watching a person shoot like magic and have like a sword and stuff is a little bit different than watching a person shoot a gun.
So now I have a little bit of
Yeah.
So it might be a little bit different from like a viewer standpoint for there.
What do you feel about that? Because just to touch on that too, like thematically, Smite is all about like gods and mythology, right? Whereas this has a very film noir / Hellboy vibe. Like literally, this character looks like Hellboy, but in blue. But you know, the other characters we saw, like Shroud and the Shroud's teammate playing, it had a very film noir aspect to it, though it was pretty bold in colors. It has a very like vintage Art Deco feel, like style wise, and like that Hellboy film noir mentality, is that, you know, with the guns, is that going to play a big difference over the Smite, or is it just enough like difference where people are going to go, oh, this isn't Smite, like it's just like a nothing burger, but like, yeah.
We haven't played it yet, right? So like, I'm not sure how compelling the gameplay is when you play it. Like, I can see it. It does look like it does look like nice, but it doesn't scream like amazing game to me. Like, and that's not like, and it could just be like me being like petty or something, but like that's cool. But I think like everybody's just dying for a really good PvE like Overwatch game, and like it's just. It seems weird, like the killing of your own minions and stuff like that, and then the shooting of the thing that comes out after you already kill a minion is like, that seems like a lot of PvE aspect with like an 80-20, like 80% PvE, 20% PvP. I think that would be like a little weird. But you never know. Like I want to play it. Like I want to play it a little bit more before like.
It does have a better look and feel, I saw initially, than Rivals did. Like we're already saying, it's a lot smoother looking. I do want to jump back and kind of pinpoint two specific things that we see in this clip here. First is, what is it here? His return back. We called it. These zip lines. They're lane markers to show you which direction to go for the lane, but they're also just fast travel for people to get back. And I'm sure they're activated up to where your sentry, your champion, whatever they want to call it, your tower is. But he's back into the fight in that same center point because, where the match just started, etc. And then the other thing I want to sort of note is that when he died before this, he died because he went in for a melee, I think. And they have a counter or a parry ability. That sounded new or familiar to me, but like, do you know if like Smite has something like that? We'll see this in a second. So he goes to do his melee ability right there. Now he's going to get confronted with the other person right here. He goes to hit him. He gets parried, stunned, and then he dies because he was parried, stunned. And apparently it's like a mind game system where you counter somebody in like a melee thing like that.
It doesn't seem like a good feature, to be honest. It seems like that should be unique to a character, not to the game itself.
It might be. I don't know enough about it, but as far as what happened there, that's what happened there.
I don't know. Not 100%. Like the game overall, like looks good. It just doesn't look right. Like I say this about like a lot of different like. It could be that the colors for me might be a little bit too muted or something, but I think that there's a lot of that 10 seconds of gameplay is stupid. And it's stupid because it's meaningless. There was no one around him, that he wasn't doing anything, and so he just killed his own minions. That is.
In a little bit of fairness, he might also not be familiar with MOBAs. I don't believe he's played a MOBA before this. Just, so like there's going to be a learning curve, of course, with games, and not going to knock people on that. But I can understand where you're coming from. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. But was it his minions? Let's go.
Yeah, those were his.
Yeah, those were his. Those aren't his. Those are red. His. Okay. Yeah, it's like a small little thing I want to just verify on that, but still, I understand where you're coming from, and this is still a beta. They technically just went no NDA on Friday, less than 4 days ago. The game that wasn't being made, that the Verge was not sworn to secrecy on, kind of stuff, allegedly. So there's a lot more development time coming for this game for sure. I don't think they're going to be doing an open alpha, open beta anytime soon. Sorry, excuse me. I don't think they're going to be doing an open alpha or open beta anytime soon, but there's a lot of work going into it. Another thing I had heard anecdotally just from watching these streamers now stream this game live is that there's a lot of updates. It doesn't always run amazingly smooth, but that's also, what you expect from an alpha beta game. So not really knocking them for that, like high frame rate after some points or frame drops too much. But, that friction you're feeling, that mutedness where it's like, I can't tell if something's just off kind of vibe or feeling, that could be fixed potentially. Maybe it's just like a development baseline right now.
I figured out something. One of the things that's bothering me that I couldn't put my finger on it, the ground is too clean. There's no paper. There's no there's graffiti all over the place, right? Yeah. And advertisements and stuff like that. But there's no it doesn't it feels very flat. Yeah, very flat.
Which could be completely a dev thing, a beta thing, where they're just, rather than trying to optimize this, they're just trying to make it run smooth. So absolutely. And that might be a fair assessment to sort of identify there right now. Some of the textures might be more flat muted than you'd kind of expect in a finalized game.
Oh, definitely. You can see it in the statues and stuff. So you're definitely right about that.
All right. So, this is the big thing happening. I think a lot of this segment too is us wanting to say, look at us. We told you so. We called it when we saw the screenshots. This was more of a MOBA than it was going to be an Overwatch type arena game. It is still an arena shooter. It's got more of a Smite aspect to it, confirmed. They're doing it in a very unique way, but like unique for like a third person over the shoulder shooter sort of thing, rather than this is very Dota-esque. I'm sure they're taking a lot of information and learnings from Dota and League to try to make something like this, because those are the pinnacle of MOBAs.
Yeah, I mean, and one of the things that I'm interested to see is if they put, like, because in League and in Dota, we have like neutral objectives, right? And the neutral objectives tend to be more team fighty. So
there are neutral objectives in the jungle and et cetera. So the equivalent of Dragon, et cetera.
I mean, I think they should treat this like original, like Alterac Valley, where like you could do something and like summon something and like change. I don't know, like something like that would be cool.
Maybe that's the direction we got to send to Blizzard. Maybe like that's the next Plunderstorm-esque game type they make, right? They just make a standalone Alterac Valley-esque dual side attack war kind of game, But anyway, any final thoughts, any wrap up here for this game or notes as we like send off? This is the first time I think you've seen the play or the more extended footage of this game. So what do you see? What do you think? Any final send off here?
I think the game looks smooth. It looks fun. I do think that the colors need like a little bit of work. But that could be just like this is their alpha build, their beta build, whatever, and then they do have something that's finalized and cleaned up. Because I do feel like people who are colorblind or stuff like that might have a little bit of trouble with minute little details and stuff like that. Like I have a little bit of trouble with certain colors right now that's going on with some of the characters and stuff like that. So that's the only real like issue that I see. Other than that, it looks smooth, it looks fun, and like I can't wait to really play it.
All right, another hard question, really just specifically. Do you feel like this has a competitive viability? And I'm not going to ask you something like, is this going to be the Overwatch killer? I don't like to subscribe to that stuff. I know a lot of people are itching for a new game, but like this is another shooter. It's probably going to take some people, which is fine. And it's probably going to give some people, which is also fine. But in that same way, do you think it's going to be able to stand on its legs as a viable competitiveness, knowing the environment right now and knowing what the information we have in front of us currently?
No, I think that this will be a game that I think it'll survive. And I personally, I think that this game should probably go more towards the community side of like Fortnite, of like doing stuff that way. Like I see things with laning phases and stuff like that having more of a problem being competitive because of how many people have to dedicate their time. Like how long is a match for this? You know what I mean? Like that's really like...
Yeah, currently it's 10 minutes into this VOD at least. So I'd imagine he hasn't gotten the one, but like I imagine it run similar to like a League game where it might be like 20, 30 minutes at least.
Yeah, we already have problems. Like in this, and I'll be honest, like having like the visual will probably change, right? We'll probably have like the God view a little bit more. But just like Overwatch, this might tend to lend itself to not being very great from a visual standpoint for viewers. Like with the top down and the way the colors are and stuff like that. So, like it's not. Yeah,
real quick. Here's a little bit of a jungle. And it's not really a jungle. You go in a building and he's like just off in between looking for like these creeps or minions in the jungle. And I think they run into a boss at one point. But yeah, he's just trying to steal some jungle right now. Sorry, go on.
No, it's just, forgot where I was.
Well, if I could jump in a little bit then, I do feel like it has a competitive air to it. Like that has the potential for it. They have a couple actor objectives. I think that is one where he had to take a vase or something, or just steal like a capture the flag kind of thing and bring it to his, and they have to anyway. So like they can get a little creative with it. I'm sure that is Valve. Valve is notoriously slow, but they do also make some pretty solid games, few and far between. And then So they do also do support it from a community side of things, and like they are able to like really just have a competitive scene, you know, feel worth it, etc. So I think they're going to try to do that in that aspect. It's just a matter of what the depth can be, and like when people solve the game, quote unquote, right? That might be a big part of it. So otherwise, you know, really the problem with games, multiplayer games, is player behavior. We see that with Overwatch. We see that with League. MOBAs have a tendency of nerding out real heavy, where it's like, you got to play this, you got to go out, and like, you know, we've talked about that before. And really the important thing is stay out of gray screen. So like, I think that's where, like, you know, that's where the challenges are going to be. I think Valve is going to take this serious enough where they're going to likely have a big tournament, big thing. I don't know if they're going to have a league or if there's going to be organizations yet, but at the very least, I'm sure they're going to aim at riding this potential right now and then going from there.
Doomfist. No, I mean, like, while I agree that it'll be like competitive, I just feel like the game itself, like, it'll be here, but it'll be like, I don't want to equate it to like Paladins, but like it'll be here.
Yeah, it might just be more complicated than like what an average player is going to want. And like, I'm sure the Dota and the League players are going to like, well, actually, we're going to be really good at this because we already play complicated games. But, you know, for things to have sustainability too, like as a shooter, you're going to have people who are playing Call of Duty. They're going to try to get into this. You have people playing Pokemon Unite. So they're going to understand laning and whatnot, but then like the depth of item buys, etc. Like it's going to be a heavier learning curve for some games than others and some players than others.
Yeah, I mean, I can already see that there's a lot, like, one of the big problems like Smite has is that if you're watching a person do PvE too long, it just ends up being boring. And so like, I'm like looking at like him do PvE right now. He's been doing PvE for like 5 minutes. Yeah. Like and you know, League does have, you know, the PvE aspect with like the minions and the jungle and stuff like that, but it is very much like, I don't know, it feels a little bit different. Like you got to interact with the player a little bit.
I wonder too if League is more of a solved game because it's been out for so long, and like you have this is the way things are done, or this is what you do, like kind of solvedness. I'm not saying it's completely, but like you kind of have your dance, and then this one, it's like, you know, this is a player who's new to MOBAs. This is a game that's new. People are still figuring out that dance, right? So that could be a part of it. But yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that.